Continuing on with our reading for Activity 3, I am on page 15 of the textbook if you'd like to follow along. These two identical offspring of asexual reproduction are both exact copies of the single parent organism. These exact copies are called clones. A clone inherits all of its traits from its one parent. Side note, one of the options for our reproductive choice board is to examine clones in the Dolly the Sheep video and Google form that goes with it. So if you would like to learn more about clones, please make sure you complete that option. Going on. Each clump of bacterial cells in the photograph below is a clone. Each clump was formed by many divisions over time, starting from one bacterial cell. In other words, each bacterium in the clump is descended from the one original cell. See figure below. Each clump of bacteria on the petri dish contains many bacterial cells. Every cell is one clump is identical to the original parent cell. Each of the cells in these clones has identical genes and traits as its parent cell. Side note, remember, genes are what the genetic information is carried on. It's inside your cells in the form of DNA. The traits are what is expressed. This was covered in the reproductive choice board too. Except in rare cases when a random change occurs. You will learn more about these random changes in a later activity. Even some multicellular organisms can reproduce asexually. Budding is the name given to a process in which a small new organism grows directly out from the parent's body. One animal that reproduces this way is the hydra. See figure below. You can see it budding right here. Each cell in the bud has the same number and kind of genes and traits as the parent cells that produced it. So here's one hydra, and you can see another one forming off. It is identical. It will eventually branch off. The strawberry plant, see photo below, can also reproduce asexually by budding. Tiny new plants are produced on a root-like runner. Each of these little plants can eventually separate from the parent and become a new individual identical to its parent. Any organism that is produced through asexual reproduction can be considered a clone. Since it inherits all of its genes, that genetic information in your cell, and traits, what these genes actually look like, from one parent. Stop to think number 2. Your friend tells you only single-celled organisms reproduce asexually. After all, how could a multicellular organism do that? How do you respond to your friend? So think about the examples that were given here. Make sure you use the examples in your stop and think explanation here. Is it only single-celled organisms, unicellular? Or can multicellular organisms, more than one cell, organisms do that as well? Go ahead, pause the video, and write your answer on stop to think number 2.